Hello, and welcome to In the Studio with Dole Designs. My name is Cheryl Dole, and today we're going to demonstrate how to put a woven bail on this copper wrapped cabochon. This is wrapped in a 20 gauge half hard square copper, and the actual portion right here holding all the wires together, and up in here closing off the bail and bringing all the wires together is a 20 gauge half hard half round wire. And we always leave a tail there when you're finished with connecting these wires in order to connect the final bail. Earlier I had woven a decorative accent onto this cabochon. And I'm often asked, what do you do with all the wires from a wrapped cabochon? Well, this is one of the ways I use the wire. A lot of times we'll put a decorative trim on, and we'll do typically just a slight one to not take away from the cabochon itself. This is Sierra Sunrise Jasper Cabochon. Very beautiful. So we don't want to take away from that. So we did just a simple woven accent here, and in another video I will demonstrate that. So now we are left with 6 wires. So what we're going to do is pull the 2 front ones forward. Try to have those side by side, and then on the other 2 that we have here, we're going to use those for our actual bail. So you want to pull those to about where you're going to want your bail in the width apart. And then we have the 2 brought to the front, and just trying to keep that out of our way for weaving. Now the tools we're going to use today, and we may not need to use them all, but I laid out what I normally would use, are going to be the copper weave wire, which my husband actually spins these for me on a sewing bobbin. You can use all kinds of different kinds of bobbins out there, but these are about $1 or $2 for a pack. I like the metal ones because of the weight. And what this does is help me keep the kinks and bends out of the copper weave wire, which is a 28 gauge, and I'll be referring to this as a weave wire. If you kink up your 28 gauge weave wire, you're going to want to get that kink out pretty quickly or it will snap. So, and that's what the wire strippers are here for as well. We have bent nose pliers, easy to get into smaller spaces, a larger pair of chain nose, bailing pliers, graduated bailing pliers, and we have the regular chain nose pliers here. They're a little smaller. And then we have flat nose pliers, and of course we have our flush cutters here. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So we have this tail right here, the half round, pulled out this way, that we're going to use to be fastening our bail down later. We're going to go ahead and take our weave wire, and I'm going to scoot the camera back a tad so you can see a little better. Actually, if I raise this up, there we go. And we have the vintage relieving block here in the back too. I use this to smooth out any nicks that we might make in the wire in the back, because I do like to make the backs very smooth and beautiful as well as the front. And we don't want that to get snagged on anyone. Okay, so we're going to take the weave wire. We're going to go down here behind that tail there, and then we're going to go up and around that first set of 2 wires that are side by side. Now that's going to be our actual woven bail. We're going to do that twice. And this is going to be a figure 8 weave. So then you bring that back over and around. You're going to do that twice, the second set of wires. And then coming back down, and again, picture a figure 8. That's what you're doing. You're going to do that twice, making sure we don't get any kinks in our wire. And we're just going to keep doing that. Now I've done this so many times that I may go pretty quickly here in a minute just to speed up the video. Again, always keep your tension, always pushing down with your thumb. The hardest part about weaving is learning your tension and keeping your weave tight. So always push down with your thumb. I'm trying to get that into the video here. Get a little closer so you can see what I'm doing. Also, you want your wires to line up side by side. You don't want those overlapping each other. Okay, now I'm going to get a little faster here. And all the time I'm doing this, keeping my tension. Now when you're first starting, you're going to want to do more of the close-up like this. Oops. And keep your tension and keep going up. Now we're only going to go up to the point where we're about the location we're going to want to bend the bail, and then I'll demonstrate how we're going to start that bending process. Again, I'm going rapidly here just for the sake of video time. So as you see, just by doing that figure 8 where we're at here, and that's about the point where I want to start bending that to go down the opposite. We're going the same way, but it's the part that's going to be bent in the back. My weave wire caught on my tool. Alright, so we're going to take this, and right above that weave edge, we're going to bend out like that. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side, making sure not to intertwine those wires. And then we're going to try to make it as evenly as possible, like that. And then we're going to weave on up. Now when you weave on up, I'm not going to go near as fast as I did before, because this is going to want to, well, first I'm sorry, we're going to go ahead and bend up here as well. There we go. But your wires are going to want to start sliding upwards now that you made that bend. So always keep your finger here to hold this side, and then come around to the back holding the back. So that way it keeps those wires from sliding up like that. And again, we're just still doing the figure 8. 2 and 2. So 2 on one side, back and around, 2 on the other side, and just doing that continually. Once you start getting close to the very top, it's going to start tightening up. And if you would please like our or click the thumbs up button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hopefully everyone will get something out of this, and we'll continue to do more and more videos. We do quite a bit here at Knoll Designs. We weave, we wire wrap, we silversmith, metalsmith. Actually, when I say we, it's me and my husband. We do engraving, fold forming, so all kinds of wonderful things. So we'd like to just keep bringing all of that to you. Okay, now that you've got to see my hands most of the time, let's see where we're at here with your bail. Beautiful. And then we're going to tie that off. Now when you end a weave, do about 4 or 5 single rotations. So we're going to do that around the right hand side. And then we're going to cut this off here. Always trying to keep the back smooth from any kind of snags. So we're going to pinch that in, and then that's going to be folded over as part of your bail. Then we're going to take this other part right back here, do the same thing, cut that piece off your tail, that you had to hold on to. Alright, now your front two wires now come into play. We're going to put that over top of your weave. And you're going to hold them, kind of pinch them together a little bit. And then you're going to take your baling pliers and you're going to position them right under where you first made your bend. And you're going to bend that right over like that. Now at that point, the back is kind of gapped, so you're going to take your flat nose pliers and you're going to bend that in. To look like that. Now is when you're going to take this half round part that was left at the very end of your initial wrap and you're going to wrap it around all the way around to the front, and then we're going to tuck it in between the decorative part and make sure you line each rotation up in the front so it's all going up in a line there. And then I always try to take the flat nose pliers, go in and give that a squeeze after the first one or after each complete rotation. That way you can ensure that it stays in place. And again, we're going to tuck that in there. I'm going to squeeze it. And everybody does this differently. I try to get at least 2 or 3 rotations in. You can, a minimum of 2. Sometimes I'll get 4 if I've got a long enough piece left over. And that's what I'm doing here. This is like the 4th one around. Now, you can either cut that off and just smash it in, or you can, I always try to cut it where I can bend it in and slip it in there where it's out of the way and I know it's not going to come apart. So here's where we cut that off. So I've got 4 good wraps out of that. And then I'm going to take it and tuck that in. So it's in between the bail and it's pulled tight right there. There we go. So now we take your wires back here. Take the top 2, which were the top 2 wires that you actually pulled over your bail. They're like that. And I'm going to cut those wires right here. Always cut, if you're not sure, cut the least amount possible. You can always take away, but you can't add wire. So then take your graduated pliers, that way your loop is even. And then just bend that right up there. And I take these to make sure those are tucked in. And you can trim that up a little bit more if you like as well. And then the same thing with the next 2. Use a smaller end. We're going to bend those up. Just want to stay in there. And with the bottom 2. So I'm going to have to end this video soon or I'm going to get cut off on time here. So we are going to do the same thing. You can either roll these under, or you can roll these the same way you did the rest of them, which is what I'm doing here. And again, I'll go back in and clean all that up. And I'll use the vintage block to sand down any nicks from the wire. And then go over and buff that with that part of it. And there we go. Thank you, and please subscribe to our channel.